blitz. Hurts takes it right up the gut. Touchdown Eagles. Here's the deep ball. Got hit as he let it go. Oh, Devontae Smith. What a catch. From 54 for the win. On the way. It is there. And the Eagles remain unbeaten.
Hello again. Welcome back to the Flyin Style Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Mitchell, back with my co-host, Steven Maslij.
Howdy, Matthew.
Unfortunately, we're coming back into this week a little bit distraught. The Eagles took a downfall to the Cowboys, 33-13. Disastrous game on all fronts. Very disappointing for all Eagles fans. What were you thinking, Maz?
Well, embarrassed isn't the right term anymore. It was just sadness. I think I'm going to use today. Well, you know, it's the same type of thing. They're coming off since Thursday. They had a Thursday night game. They're well rested. They're in Dallas. They were ready for this game, and we couldn't do anything right. Especially in the first half of our defense was god awful. Anytime we had to drive any momentum, even after they scored their first touchdown, Jalen Hurts fumbles, and then you just have onslaught of like AJ thinking he's going to kill Stephon Gilmore because he's old, so he gives them that chalkboard material. He gets it ripped out of his hands. You're dropping balls left and right. There's two touchdowns you could say we would have had, especially with the Smitty one. But overall, it was just sad. It was just really sad to see this team go down that way, and I really thought we were going to persevere, and especially I thought we were going to go down at halftime and get our crap together, but it was unfortunate, and it made me sad. It really did.
Yeah, I gotta say I was feeling pretty much the same way. It was, like we said earlier, disastrous on all fronts. The offense, I think the big thing in the drive of the game is that they couldn't finish drives for the life of them. It's been a problem the past few weeks. I mean, they've been outscored disastrously the past 2 weeks in comparison to, the 49ers and Cowboys. It's been pretty bad. Obviously, we lost the turnover battle 3-1 with all three of our offensive captains in A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Hurts fumbling, which, not only can you not lose the turnover battle, but for all three of your top guys to be doing it and to see all three of those guys make mistakes all game was very out of character. And this team feels out of character right now in these past two games, these past two losses. They just don't even feel like the same team we were watching the first 11 weeks of the season. And it's a bummer, but, it is a long season. And we've talked about the fact that they were going through a gauntlet of teams. And, we've talked about the fact that it's very difficult to beat a team twice. But all of us had the hope that they were going to, learn from their mistakes and pick up where they left off earlier in the season and, try to make adjustments to these problems. And not a single adjustment was made. I mean, we went out and did the same thing, got halfway down the field, a third of the way down the field, and then stalled out and either kicked a field goal or fumbled it away or punted it away. And you just can't win games like that. And it's sad to see. Obviously, we didn't even see Jalen Hurts get over 200 yards, no touchdowns. A.J. Brown, I don't even want to say he played a good game, even though he had, I think,
94.
Yeah, 94 yards, 9 receptions. It wasn't an impressive 94 yards, that's for sure. Both him and Devontae dropped, big catches. And it was definitely a struggle to see. And, the defense, it felt like they came out and, tried to do their job in the second half at the very least. And they didn't let up any offensive points. They did let up 4 field goals, I believe it was.
And 3 of them were over 50 yards, especially a 60-yarder the first
Yeah,
one.
I mean, unfortunately, you got to give credit to that kicker. I mean, he's out of his mind, that guy. I mean, it's crazy. That first field goal he kicked from 61 could have been good from 70, and that was insane. But either way, it is a long season. We're still 10-3. It sure doesn't feel like it at the moment, but there's not a whole lot to say about this game as Eagles fans. It was a hard pill to swallow, and you don't want to give this team their credit because screw the Cowboys, but they absolutely outclassed us. They beat us in all all terms of the game. And, it's a shame we didn't even let their star players shine in this game, in terms of the stats. And here we are, and it was an absolute blowout loss. And the Eagles really, really got a lot to fix going into next week.
Yeah, dude. Like I try to be optimistic as much as I can, and I'm trying to look at the season as a whole. If you told me at this point we're going to be 10-3, me and you both ran through both the entire schedule before the season. We both only predicted max 13. I think you might have had 12 or 13. I might have had 11 or 12 wins. But I mean, you got to look at it as a whole. But you're only as good as the last game we played, and the last 2 games we played have been brutally awful. And it just, you look at all the scenarios and stuff. You're just hoping that this team this week shows us something, because you're going into Seattle. They're on a 5-game skid. We're on a 2-game skid, and it's like brutal, dude. It's just like, it's really sad, especially just getting beat by the 2 contenders in the NFC that you're going against, and it's like it just makes you think. Like, it just makes everyone think. Every single caller on the radio is just like, they're gonna be down and out, but I just wonder what this team thinks and what's going on in that locker room. And my faith is that this is where Nick Sirianni shines. This is where he comes through. He's not going to be the Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan guy that's going to have that offensive mind that's insane, right? He's a guy that is a glue guy and a motivator. And this is where his coaching is going to have to come through for us, because we don't have anything else. Like, it's been brutal. Like, and I mean, you take these losses as much as you can with a grain of salt, but like, not scoring a touchdown, bro, on offense, not scoring a touchdown, it's disgusting. It's literally just, especially with this offense, it's disgusting, dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, you can't win games with 6 points from Jake Elliott and a defensive touchdown, outscoring the offense. It's hard to even talk about, because it's hard to watch these 2 separate teams of a season, and I even hate to say it, because it's like, it's the reason it's so hard to talk about is because it's only been 2 games.
Yeah.
But in everybody's hearts, it does not feel that way in the slightest. And it's been really hard to swallow this pill, because, like you said, these are 2 teams that we could see in the playoffs, and we didn't just lose. We got absolutely trounced by both these guys. And it just makes you question, where do you stand in the league and the hierarchy of good teams up here? And slowly, not only do the experts have us falling down, but it feels like this team is losing confidence in themselves. Like, you can almost see it in the players. They don't have the same demeanor that they had at the beginning of the season. They don't have the same like mentality or look in their eyes that they did. Like, they all look nervous and defeated and scared. And I don't know what the hell's going on, but Nick Sirianni's really got to find a way to light a fire under their asses soon, because we're coming down this stretch in the season, and everybody's talking about how easy this last run of games is. With the way we've been playing, I'm not confident in any of these games. You can talk all you want about the Giants. I hate the Giants. They're on a tear right now. They're having a good few games, and Tommy DeVito is playing. He's playing good football right now, and he has them lit up. Whether they're a good team or not, I can't say the way we've been playing that I think we're just going to waltz in there and run away with wins, and let alone a Seattle Seahawks team that is, playoff worthy. And right now it doesn't feel like we are. So it's definitely going to be an interesting stretch of games to see what kind of adjustments they can make, especially on offense, because everybody and their grandmother is aware of how bland Brian Johnson's playbook is, and how we're all sick of it. And the fact that he refuses to run the ball, he's incapable of doing it when we're down in the game. And it's just, it's so predictable. It's, it's gross to watch. It's not fun to watch right now.
In what you just mentioned, when we're down in the game, he started off well. I thought the play calling was well, especially the first drive when we were driving, and obviously Hurts had the fumble. But
he starts fine. He panics.
I just don't understand. It's not Madden. Like, we are a team that it's every possession matters, and you can't take it as, oh, we're down now. We just have to pass, throw it up to AJ, throw it up to Devonta, just make them. You're gonna have that, all right. We're gonna have those plays. We're gonna have those opportunities if you establish the run. And when you establish the run, it's not. I'm not saying, but you have to have more than 11 carries for Swift. And I'm not. It's not like I'm giving him a number to give like Swift. The Swift has 12 carries, but they're at the right times. They're just not. Nothing's clicking, and it's And you could say it's because Seattle has a good defense. You could say it's because San Fran has a good defense, but it's, bro.
Yeah, it's been a rough stretch, man, and they got a lot of work to do, and a lot of motivation to pick up, and they have to win out these last 4 games to stay in a prime playoff position, or they're going to be in a rough patch, and hopefully they can make that adjustment quick, and we'll see this week against Seattle. So with that being said, why don't we jump right ahead to Seattle and start talking about what it's going to take to beat this team.
So this team hasn't been stellar on defense. They show signs. They have offensive weapons for sure. They have Kenneth Walker. The receiving core, I love their receiving core with DK, Tyler Lockett, and JSN, the rookie they drafted at Ohio State. They've struggled, but I mean, their last 3 opponents, they played San Fran, and then they played Dallas, and then they played San Fran again. And it's not – I feel like they all have individual games they lost in the last 4. Obviously, no one wants to go on a 4-game or on a 5-game skid either, but they're not a bad team, especially in Seattle. I understand, their defense isn't great. Jamal Adams hasn't played great. No one's on there other than Witherspoon. Their rookie stood out to me on their defense. They have a couple guys on the D-line, but outside of that Giants game, they have played no great defense, to be completely honest with you. I don't know if we both are looked at the injury report if Gino's starting or if it's going to be Drew Lock, but bro, it's it makes me nervous. And I was nervous at this game with the situation going in, but now it's Monday night, and what does this team got? It's going to be up to us. If it's put on our shoulders. This Seattle team is not more talented than us. This Seattle team is not. I mean, you could say Pete Carroll's a great coach, but they don't have. If you go straight up roster for roster spot, they shouldn't win this game, and it's
it sucks. It sucks that we got to start having the tough conversations. We've been these past 2 years of having this podcast. We've been so spoiled with such a great team that we haven't really even had a chance to talk negative or poorly on the Eagles too often. And this is definitely uncharted territory for us in the past couple of years. And it's been a while since we've really had to sit back and think, is this team as good as we think they are? And, I don't want to give up hope on them yet because, like you mentioned earlier, 10-3 is still a great record. You're still, in the top echelon of the NFL in terms of record and, how you've played as a whole this season. And you don't want to look at 2 games and have it have too much effect. But it does come down to how they're going to respond and react in these coming games. And going into this one, we're dealing with another team that is going down a skid just like us and have struggled in the past few weeks. They may not have a starting quarterback, but they're also fighting for their lives to stay in the playoff picture. So both teams here have something to prove and, somewhere to go with this. And to me, obviously, as an Eagles fan, I feel like ours is much more important. And I hope that our guys on the field feel the same way because, like I've said lately, it really, in their demeanor, it doesn't feel like they want it. They look like they're just going through the motions out there. Nobody looks like they're getting fired up at the right things. If they are getting fired up, it's over some BS. It's, I'm just not seeing the same fire that we saw out of this team early on. And they've got 4 games to prove what kind of team they are. If they're going to come out and, serve up a bunch of duds against these 3 bad teams, then we'll know what kind of team we're going to be seeing in the playoffs. It's going to be the same team we've watched the past 2 weeks. But if they can come back, turn shit around, and prove that they are still a good team, they can still do these good things, and they can produce massive amounts of offense like they did early on in the year, averaging 30 points per game, then I'll feel a little more confident going into the playoffs. So I do have one question for you on that. What do you think it would take for you to feel confident going back into the playoffs?
I need to win out. Just simple as that. This is like do or die. If you want to get obviously we are fighting for the 1 seed, but the Niners had a tiebreaker over us, right? The Niners have to lose for us to get the 1 seed because they have the tiebreaker. If we win out, we control our own destiny for the 2 seed / the division. This division is huge or else you're going in as a wild card, and then you don't have any home field, right? So even if and I know this sounds horrible to say, and it's sounds like avoiding people, but if you do get in as the 2 seed and the teams that all are supposed to win, if we win the first round, Dallas is supposed to win against the 4 seed, and then we play the lowest one, and then San Fran's on a bye, they would play Dallas before the NFC chip. But I'm not trying to get that far. I just need to see this team.
It's scenarios to start thinking about.
I know, and it really is.
Things you got to think about.
And I'm not saying I want the 2 seed. I want the 1 seed because I want everything to be run through Philly. But it's the thing with Dallas, we control our own destiny right now. Even with Dallas beating us, they can win out. But they have a really hard schedule as well. Not as well. They have a hard schedule. They have Buffalo, they got Miami, then Detroit, and then they're at Washington. Right? This is a hard schedule for them. This is going to be their tough stretch. I'm not trying to rely on anyone else. I need to see this team come out with fire. Especially against the Seattle team, that's going to be not even on paper. I just think it's the most talented team they're going to play. I mean, I know you're talking about the Giants being hot and everything. I just don't think they're
not a talented team. They're playing on a hot wave, and they've caught some wind and they're rolling with it. And it's doesn't mean anything. They're not going anywhere with it. They're not making the playoffs. I'm not worried about them, but they're absolutely going to try their best to play spoil ball in the Eagles and ruin their chances in the playoffs. They're at a good spot in the playoffs. So,
and then you're playing Arizona.
They got Kyler back. They're not complete slouches either.
Jonathan Gannon doesn't want a little revenge, or just doesn't want everyone.
Doesn't want to play well against his old team. Of course.
It's not going to be easy.
It's not going to be as much of a cakewalk as everybody's making it out to be. Everybody's kind of marking it up already. It's all right, so now we got these 4 wins, and we're going to see how we go in the playoffs. No. These 4 games are going to matter a lot. And I'm not confident going into any 4 of them at the moment. I need to see this week. I need to see a good game out of them, or I'm not going to feel confident going into the playoffs. Even if we play well against Arizona and the Giants, I'm not going to feel confident going into the playoffs if we don't play well against this Seattle team.
It's going to be very demoralizing if we lose Seattle. I'll just put it that way, because I think the energy coming back home against the Giants, I think we might boo. And I don't want that. Vegas right now has a line -3 toward Philly. The line has dropped from 4. I mean, you can say what you want with that.
Reasonably so, it feels like right now.
But it's just kind of just not disappointing. It's just the way that we lost. I'm not saying it's because we lost. It's just the way that we lost has been very irritating to me. And just this Seattle team isn't a bad team. It's gonna be a close game. They played all their games relatively close, except for Baltimore. They have all and San Fran. But outside of those 2, it's been which they're basically the 2 number 1s right now. So you talk about the 2 best teams in the league, and you think I'm going to give them they're a good team. They're a solid team. They're well coached, and these are the type of teams you need to beat. And that's just through and through. It's. I'm not accepting a loss here. It's going to be. I might change my tone if we get blown out by Seattle. Then we have a problem. We have a big problem, a huge problem. And I don't think we will. And if we don't score more than 28 points on this Seattle defense, I'm going to freak out as well. We need to get this offense is too good, too talented not to do anything. It's it's disgusting. It's been brutal.
It's definitely been brutal, and it's like we've said a bunch of times today. It's been a shame to watch the short downfall of this team. Hopefully, it's not going to continue. Hopefully, they catch a ledge and come back against the Seattle team and really show what kind of team they are. But the unfortunate part about it is that all we could do is sit over here and hope. They haven't shown us anything that's making us feel more confident in their chances or in their, game plan. We haven't seen any reaction from them that's making us feel like, all right, that's going to light a fire under them. We haven't seen anything, any kind of response from this team to make us feel better about what's going on right now. And unfortunately, we can sit here and have as much optimism as we want, which is, we've been trying to through, even through that 3-game gauntlet stretch where we won the games and people were starting to tear into us and, say like, oh, like those are really close games. Like, are you guys not scared? And we were like, no, we're not, because they managed to pull things out. And they've really made it difficult to hold on to that optimism lately. So, granted, like you said, Seattle is a good team, but they are not on the same level as the Cowboys or the 49ers. So hopefully, we just come out with some fire and we see a different team than we've seen the past 2 weeks. And this game is going to mean a lot in the confidence of all the fans in Philadelphia, all the players on the team, the coaching staff. Like, I think this game is going to mean, a lot to this team.
This is everything, dude.
It's somehow turning into one of the most important games of the year, and it shouldn't be. And but it is what it is. And I think that it's going to be tough going into playoffs if you lose the city behind this team. If the city is sitting here, how Philadelphia gets when the team is not in the place that they want it to be. And, it's one of the few things I take shame in as an Eagles fan and a Philadelphia fan, but it is how the city is. If we're not playing well, the city is not going to get behind you and they will let you hear it. And, they're not going to be nice about it. And if we walk into playoffs with that mentality instead of, the fiery, terrifying Philadelphia where the fans are screaming and cheering for their team and have no more love for anything in the world than the Philadelphia Eagles. And, that's two different fan bases. And I just really hope this team can turn it around and keep the city behind their backs, because I'm scared. I'm always scared of the effects that Philadelphia fans can have on a team. And the timing that we're catching this wind right now is just not good.
No, it's horrible timing, and it's right toward the end of the season. And then the problem is, as well as you're talking about fans, as much as we don't have any confidence, we have to. The Eagles aren't going to get more confidence by beating any of these teams to fans. Like, I don't see any fans going, oh, let's go. Like, I'm excited now that we're going to win a Super Bowl. I still have confidence we're going to win a Super Bowl because it's the same team. But
Agreed.
I can't shy away from that. I'm not going to fault now just because we lost 2 games in a row. It's just been hard to see not close games at all. And it's just, this team this week needs to step up on both sides of the ball, drastically. We're the worst pass defense in the league. Are you kidding me? Washington's playing with nobody. They don't have a secondary, and we're that bad. Is it our zones? Is it our schemes? I don't even know if Bradbury and good anymore.
It's a mix of both, man. I mean, I do think that I feel like I've been saying it all year that I do think the schemes put them in a bad position, but it's absolutely no question that the team is not executing in the way that they should be, regardless. And it's all around. There's no rhythm on either side of the ball. It just feels dysfunctional. It just feels like there's no, I don't have a better word than rhythm. It just feels like they have no rhyme or reason to what's going on. And they're just out there trying different things and it's not working. And it's been a while since I felt like this team feels like they're just flowing the way they should be. And it's been a problem all season, and we've talked about this all season, whether this was going to come back to haunt us or whether it was going to be something that we could work through. And right now, it's absolutely coming back to haunt us.
Yeah. So I guess just get right into it. How do you think this game's going to go? How do you see this game going, start to end, and final score?
It's hard to say right now. I feel like I've had a little too much optimism in this category of the podcast lately, and I feel like I've been such a downer this episode. But I'm still not picking my Eagles to lose. We've talked about the fact that this needs to be a big game. They really need to come out and show out, and I just I think they're going to be able to do that. I'm going to go 28-14 for the Eagles.
I like it. I like it a lot. I mean, I think it's going to be – I'm going to go 32-17. I think we need a big win on both sides of the ball. I think we have to come out hot, and I think we have to dominate the first half. I think they creep back in and get a touchdown or two in the second. I just really think this team is going to dominate, or should dominate, should I say? Because I can't even think it anymore. I'm speaking with my mind, not my heart right now. Like, I have no heart in this. This is all what should happen, because I can't even say it's going to, because it's hurting. I'm embarrassed. I'm sad, and it's fun.
Yeah, we're catching some karma for the big heads and egos we got early on in the season. So, hopefully we can turn it around and catch some confidence back to maybe throw that ego back in some people's faces when we get the chance. So,
well, at least we're not Chargers fans right now. They're down 42-0 at halftime.
We could absolutely have it worse. We could absolutely have it worse.
It's pretty funny. That's pretty demoralizing for them. Talk about demoralizing.
Yeah.
Anyway, just to point it out that the two guys we crapped on before the season, Josh Allen, but he's kind of been playing decently well. Brock Purdy and Dak are leading the MVP race. Currently, Dak's the favorite to win MVP. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we briefly mentioned it last week, but it was we both had good takes and bad takes. I mean, I guess, I got to own up to it. I mean, simply Dak Prescott, I was a big hater of him, and he's having the best season of his career, simply. So, I mean, props to him. I never had actual hate for Dak Prescott. I just love having the opportunity to talk crap on the Cowboys. And, based on last season, I'm still not turning back on that. He had a terrible season last year. I mean, that's just facts. I'm sticking to that. Not like I could have done better or anything. I'm not saying anything like that. Just he didn't have a great year, and this year he came back and turned it around, and he has proven why he's respected by his peers and why he got that voting in the NFL 100 last year, and the fact that that's why he got so much respect, and it is what it is. But I was right on Purdy. I did think he was going to be a good player. I felt like I could just see it in his demeanor and really the way that he carried himself, based on the fact, that he was, a Mr. Irrelevant pick, and the way he carried himself based off of that. Like, he felt like he carried himself with the weight of a top 5 pick. And just seeing that kind of poise from a guy with, that little regard, I felt like I was kind of confident that he would have a decent year. And it's still early, and it's still early in his career, and he obviously has a ton of talent around him right now. It's still to be seen, what kind of career he'll put forward, but he's definitely living up to the hype so far.
Yeah. I'm not even gonna try to say anything bad. He's played very well this season. He's made throws he had to make. At times, I thought the screen passes were awesome. But I'm not taking shots. He has had a great season. He's managed his turnovers super well, and I think the funny thing about Dak is just Dallas fans in general hating on Dak. I just felt like that was a narrative because of last year. Even they were a little down on him. They didn't think he was going to win MVP, but now he's the best quarterback in the entire world, and Jerry Jones is a super genius. So congrats to
Yeah,
you guys on that.
let's not act like the Eagles aren't the same way. You know, Jalen Hurts was the king, Lord and Savior of Philadelphia last year, and he's not having his best year, and all of a sudden, we got people talking about whether he should be a backup quarterback, and
David Carr is saying that.
I'm aware. I'm just pointing out that he does not get the same love that he got last year.
All right, is Brock Purdy a top 5 QB right now?
Right now, I mean, right now, yes, but like
you would have him over Patty, Lamar, Josh
that's
Allen.
you see, that's where like the conversation gets more difficult because
Why?
like
It's the same thing.
Because
top
it's
5 quarterback.
Because listen to this, right? They were talking about this in the NBA, whether LeBron is a top 5 player in the NBA right now, right? So like, out of respect, you want to say yes, absolutely, but then you want to go back and talk about the guys like Luka and Giannis and
Jokic is not a top 5 player.
And Jokic and Halliburton, and that's my point though. Is like a lot of people will still put him in their top 5, just based off of the ability that they can play at. But like if you're talking about just this season, I feel like it's a different conversation. Like if I'm talking about the quarterbacks I think are the best in the NFL, like I'm still sticking with the guys we pretty much started the season with like Patty and Burrow and Allen and Hurts and Lamar. But like if you're talking about this season, you have to go off of like what the MVP race is right now. The best 5 quarterbacks this season have been Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Tua Tagovailoa. You can still throw Patty in there, I guess. But my point is Patty's not the MVP favorite. But do you think all those guys are better than Patty?
Absolutely. No, my top 5 wouldn't be Patty would still be number 1.
I guess I just feel like they're
I'm just asking like if you did a rank of the quarterbacks right now, is he a top 5 quarterback? And like
right, I guess I got a little bit too into the right now part, but like I'm talking about like I feel like it's a different question if you ask who's a better quarterback this season or who's a better quarterback right now. I guess I kind of combine them a little bit. But
I mean right now would you rather take if I think I phrased it. Maybe I phrased it incorrectly. I'm just saying right now. I feel like it's the same question as if I have a team right now. I need 5 quarterbacks. Is he top 5? I maybe that's kind of phrasing it in a way that's like I'm not rebuilding. I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm just saying if you're going into the playoffs, like if you're the Niners, you're taking him over all those other guys. Is that unfair to say? I guess I understand what you're saying. I know what you're saying, and I'm doing this.
Yeah, I get it. I do think that it also with him. I was actually going to mention the Cam Newton comments about all these guys being system quarterbacks. That's another thing that goes into it, though. Like if you put Joe Burrow on the 49ers with those kinds of weapons, what kind of damage is he doing? And if you put, not that Joe Burrow doesn't have weapons. I'm just, with Brock Purdy, it is still hard to say right now with him. He's definitely playing out of his mind, but you do have the curiosity of what he would look like on a different team, which I guess everybody could say the same thing about Jalen Hurts and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I guess, you know what? Screw all that. I think I would take him as a top 5 quarterback right now. I think I would. Yeah. Because I hated the argument that people would try to say the same thing against Hurts last year, and that's just part of the game. Like it doesn't matter who your teammates are. If you're playing with who you're playing with, and you're performing how you're performing, and Brock Purdy's performing. So yeah, I guess I have to.
That's fair. I just don't think he is, but that's just me. And I titled my own opinion. I think that
it's hard when you have to limit it to only 5. It's because the 5 guys I mentioned, it's I don't necessarily want to put them over. Like it's tough. I guess I don't know. Like I'd have to really put deeper thought into like who I feel is the top 5 at the moment. But he's absolutely top 10, no doubt. But there are a lot of good guys in the NFL, so I don't know. Do you? All right, I got one more question for you. Do you put him over or under Dak Prescott?
Under.
Under.
Dak has played I feel like he's played like when I don't even know if Purdy has had over 30 completions in a game. He's only thrown. He doesn't throw the ball as often. He doesn't need to necessarily at times, but when he does, they lost. I mean, Dak has looked really good this year, and I didn't have Dak in my top 5 coming in the season. I would put him in my top 5 right now.
I think that's fair, and to an extent, I feel like I would agree with you. I'm throwing a bunch of different thoughts out there right now because I didn't have my top 5 quarterbacks together. I don't. It's a hard decision for me to decide who I think is the top 5. And Brock Purdy and Dak are both on that cusp for sure. So it's hard to say.
He hasn't had over 23 completions at all this season, a single game. 23 completions. I feel like that doesn't necessarily matter. I mean, you want to go to his rushing stats. He had 57 yards one game. Everyone else is under 20 or 10. He only had I just think he makes the throws and he hasn't thrown too many. He has, what did he have?
So you think he's a game manager?
I don't want to say that because I'll just get flipped and get chatted on. But you tell me, what is? He's so super special. Yeah, his yards are fantastic. I guess he's making the plays that he needs to make.
I have one more question for you off of that.
Okay.
Then what is the difference between him and Jalen Hurts last year?
Jalen Hurts had over he almost had his rushing just alone was better than that.
Yeah, his rushing was better, but Purdy's passing yards are going to be better than Hurts was
this year. Last
year's too.
I mean,
what makes him a system quarterback and not Jalen Hurts? I'm putting the question out there. I'm just saying. Everybody wants to talk about this system stuff, but you're handed the teams you're handed. So what is he not doing to not perform? That just makes him a manager. Just because he doesn't throw the ball 60 times?
I mean, I feel like
you're going to hate on the team for having a good running back?
Jalen Hurts still threw the ball over. He threw the ball over. He has this year, he has more completions than every single stat other than yards. I'm not saying he's. Jalen showed more. He puts more on his shoulders, dude. He does I guess yards just I don't know.
I'm not saying, don't get the wrong idea listening to this, viewers. I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts is a game manager. I'm trying to make the point that Brock Purdy is not.
What stats do you want me to? What do you want me to say?
I don't know. I'm just trying to convince you that he's not a game manager.
Straight stats, I don't know. You just want to do passing yards?
I'm just saying I've watched the kid ball out, and I think he's the real deal. I think that's just where I'm standing.
I mean, Jalen Hurts has the ball in his hands 5 times as much than Brock Purdy does, and he has the same record. So I think he's better, and he has played better.
I still think Jalen Hurts is better. I ain't worried about that, but
I think what I mean by system manager is how often is the game on your shoulders, and how often does it come down to your best play that you made mattering.
Well, in that regard, I can tell you that, obviously we've mentioned the fact that Hurts played really well from behind this year. At least I believe it was before the 49ers game. The stat that I saw was that he had a 77 completion percentage with 22 touchdowns to 1 interception.
49ers game.
Yeah, things have changed around a little bit, but in that regard, he had 22 touchdowns to 1 interception. In regards to, I don't want to say the wrong stats. I don't remember what Brock Purdy's side was, but he had more interceptions than touchdowns. He did not play well from behind as opposed to Jalen Hurts, which kind of goes to show a bit of a winner's mentality in that regard. And I do think that Jalen Hurts does have a better leadership mentality than Brock Purdy does. Brock Purdy, I wouldn't think that anybody would look at that team and say that Brock Purdy's probably the voice of that team, but you would look at the Eagles and say that about the Eagles. I mean, about Jalen Hurts, So I think that's what sets them apart right now. But, Brock Purdy's definitely proven himself, I think, as more than just he's just there to fill in the void. I think he's the real deal. I think he's going to be their guy for a while.
I hope so. But anyway.
Yeah, we got a little off topic. But, we're going to be, watching the Seahawks game this week on Monday night. hope everybody's excited for that. Hopefully we get to see the Eagles make a big, turnaround this week and show the fans and the national media what we all want to see and come out with a big W. So thank you for listening to this video. We always appreciate you guys tuning in. If you wouldn't mind, please like this video. And if you get the chance, subscribe to our channel. We're always here talking about the Eagles and giving our previews and reviews of the games. And we hope to hear you tuning in the future. So once again, thank you very much for tuning in. And we're going to be excited to come back next week, hopefully talking about a big W and a big turnaround.
Yes, sir.
All right, go Birds. We'll talk to you guys next week.